Hi again, it's Vicky. So, coming out of hospital was another big step. There's a lot of big steps in these videos, you'll begin to realise. So, after my diagnosis of SCAD and a flurry of activity, one thing I didn't mention in that video, which was quite interesting to me, is when I did get back onto the ward and Dr. Wood came and then Jane came, who's the research assistant, nobody in the cardiac team on the ward had heard of SCAD, bar one nurse who had touched on it in a training module on a CPD course. So that was really quite interesting, and that sort of shows how rare it can be, or it is. So there was a massive flurry of activity, a little bit like when I went in. I was now going to go home, there was lots of tests to do, there was masses of paperwork, junior doctors were coming to see me because they were very excited because they'd not heard of SCAD before, wasn't sharing their excitement quite so much, have to be honest. So yeah, got the rubber stamp to go home, so that's fine. So then suddenly it goes quiet again and I realise I'm going home. An overwhelming feeling literally overcame me of, oh my gosh, I'm going home. And it was like irrational fear. That's the only thing I can give to you in terms of words. It wasn't knowing, it wasn't conscious, it was just like, oh. And I completely broke down again, and was just really scared of going home, because what if? And I'm not a massive what ifer by nature. So it took me by surprise, and what we did is the doctors came back, they sat with me, time was given to me, and they reassured me and they told me what to do if I felt something was happening. They told me what to do and what to expect, and definitely Dr. Wood and Jane gave me a really clear idea that it would feel achy and I could have some murmurs and some aches and pains and groans, and it was about getting to know what was safe and what maybe needed some attention. So I really had to wrap my head around that and really move from like nearly paralysed fear to trust this, trust it. They wouldn't let me go home if they didn't think I was ready to go home. So Ant came to pick me up. And there's a discharge process in terms of going to a discharge lounge and they check your meds, and then he came to pick me up and I walked from the discharge lounge to the car. And I would say, in terms of how far that was, I would say that would probably be a 2-minute walk at a good pace. It took me 20 minutes. And I was determined to walk. I wasn't going to go in a wheelchair. They offered me a wheelchair and I was like, no, I'm going home. I need to do this. So I walked along this corridor and it was like being on a ship. It makes my stomach churn now. It was like being on a ship and quite queasy. I was breathless, and I think a lot of that was anxiety about going home, as well as probably being within the realms of not being so well. Managed to get in the car, went home, recognised how green everything was. Everything looked brighter and sharper than I noticed it before, and I landed into home and my girls were here and my mum was here and Enton was here, and then this became my safe place for quite a number of weeks, and it was quite emotional really, coming back home and seeing my girls, sitting down with them, saying hi, and realising how tired I was in terms of that process from getting out of the discharge lounge to home had drained me. So I managed to go to bed. Again, sleeping quite challenging, the irrational, gosh, what if I didn't wake up in the morning? And then eventually sheer exhaustion kicks in and I managed to sleep that night. So that was my first evening home. It was lovely to have a bit of food that was home cooked. My appetite wasn't great anyway, so, it was literally not even a day at a time when I got home. The next day was chunking my time into, right, I need to get up. I need a shower. So once I'd had the shower, I then needed to sit for a couple of hours. Then I just had loads of visitors. I had so many cards. I had so much support and love. I had clients dropping off red wine for me. Thank you. Because it's very good for your heart, and some books and just loveliness all around me. And I felt very privileged to be in that position. So yes, so coming home was massive, and then I needed to settle into a new normal. And that's where I shall finish this one and pick up in a few minutes for the next section. Good to see you. Bye.